So we've got our ground beef in the process of browning that right now, and our onions and bell peppers that were called for with this chili recipe we're using that came from the USDA. I also had some leftover Roma tomatoes, about a half a dozen or so from a menu I had last week, and the chili calls for tomatoes anyway, so on top of the diced tomatoes, canned diced tomatoes that the recipe calls for, we've got some fresh Romas that we're able to put in there as well. And then I've also got about 3 or 4 green bell peppers that were left over from yesterday that I was able to dice up, and we're able to utilize those as leftovers as well. So we're putting in fresh items in the chili, and we're also helping reduce waste by not throwing them away. So the amount of beans that we have here is a little more than our requirement for the day. If you had leftover beans, you could certainly portion out the amount that you don't need. Save them for later. You could use them to make hummus. Hummus is actually really easy to make from scratch. Usually just requires a food processor, some oil, whatever beans you're going to use, and any kind of seasonings you want, and blend them together. And hummus is actually an item that we do have on a regular basis on our snack menu, generally in the afternoons. And we usually serve it with pita chips.
Well, I just had a note on Brent Baade.
Okay, so we got our fruit portioned out for lunch here. And of course, we've definitely got some leftover here. Leftover fruit, I'll more than likely save this, use it later in the week. I could either serve it as an additional item during lunch. You could sub out maybe another item that you were going to serve for lunch and use this fruit instead. Or I could save it, make a fruit salad, use that for an afternoon or morning snack. There's a variety of different ways that we could utilize this up, but I'll definitely be able to use this amount up before the end of the week so that it doesn't end up getting thrown out, because you definitely want to eliminate any waste that you have. Keep everything that I've got left over really in a centralized location, just within my refrigerator or on my shelf, depending if it's not a refrigerated item. And then I'll take a look at my menu for the next 2 or 3 days ahead of time and just skim through it and see if there's any menu item I have coming up within the next couple of days that, oh, hey, I've got these tomatoes left over, I can use it on this day, and then I'll just make myself a note. And then when you actually get to that day on your food production record, I'll take a look to see what's actually printed off on my food production record, and then just simply handwrite the changes on what I've added on.